Welcome to another session of Block Chat. Today it's a spotlight with Peter. Who's Peter? Peter's a member of our core team. He's a co-founder of Blocksquare, and he's the legal hands and mind behind what we do, behind our legislative approach, behind us approaching not only legislation and legislators, but also partnerships and contracts. Peter, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to our fruitful discussion.
It should be fruitful after the challenges with voice today, and I believe people will hear some echo. Apologies for that, guys, because there's a difference between the environment we're recording in, so there is a little bit of echo here or there. Peter, tell me more, please, about your journey with Blocksquare. You've been there since the beginning. You're a co-founder. The journey not only with Blocksquare, us as an organization, us as a testing ground for the industry, because the industry have lived evolution with legislation, with laws, with parameters of how can we move. And you're the best person probably to talk about that and tell us about it. So please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So maybe in short about me. So I started after finishing law faculty. I started my career in banking sector. Of course, very rigid one, like usual, business as usual. I would say this old school business. After that, I decided to start my own legal advisory company, and I moved to the world of startups and venture capital and so on. So it was a really huge difference once working within a very tight framework and then working in the ecosystem where everything is practically possible. Of course, with proper funding, with the right team, so everything is achievable. So that was some kind of a shock for me. So to change this mindset, but then I see today I see in business that usually you do need some kind of rules. You do need some kind of red tape. Okay, there is a wild west sometimes outside, but at the end of the day, only very successful startups which are also considering their legal aspects will succeed. So I would say that I was really happy when Denis and Vicky invited me to become a co-founder in Blocksquare. But of course, I saw the challenges from the beginning. We all know crypto. It's not regulated. The regulation is coming finally. But back then, when we started our project, everything was in the cloud. So we knew what we want to achieve. But on the other side, there were no regulation. And usually, when you want to start serious business, you want to be sure. So in which direction you should go. You're not happy when the regulators say, okay, we have some kind of standstill agreement. Don't screw the investors. Don't screw the consumers. The investors, let's say in general. We will leave you alone. Once you will do something wrong, then we will put all our weapons on you. So that's not how usually business is done. So I'm very happy now that this regulation is coming. I'm sure we will talk about this later. But I would say that this genesis of our work in Blocksquare, of my work in Blocksquare, changed during this recent years because yes, we now know that regulation is coming. Now it's much clearer what will be this final picture or the final framework within which we will be operating, and I'm really happy to see that Blocksquare is already ready for the future regulation. I would say that this is definitely a comparative advantage, our comparative advantage, that we were always thinking with this regulation in mind. And also, I believe we are one of the first blockchain startups that approached the regulator. We asked Slovenian Securities Agency, that was a few years ago, I would say that 4 or 5 years ago. We approached them, asking them what's about this legal qualification of tokens, and I think this is the right approach. So be friendly with the regulators, because sooner or later you will need them.
So regulation offered us visibility for the future, and businesses need visibility. Investors need visibility in general. And for us as businesses to be able to attract the right kind of investment, we will need to offer our investors a clear route ahead. And this is one of the main changes that regulation gets forward. Yet, I'm sure within the regulatory framework over the past few years, because as you mentioned, when we started, or when Blocksquare started, when the industry, because it's an intersection between two industries, started, it was the wild, wild west over there. What have changed fundamentally on the ground, and what has been achieved? Because it's very important to understand where do we stand now. We all know that regulation pivots and stabilizes at a certain level, and becomes mature enough as an environment. And today we're not there yet. But where are we from maturity as regulation when it comes to blockchain usage, distributed ledger technology usage, and blockchain real estate specifically, because that's what concerns us most today at Blocksquare.
Yeah, so to start with, if we go back 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit more, in 2016, 2017, when we started our discussions with the regulators, I'm speaking about securities agency, tax agency, or also anti-money laundering office. They knew only about the Bitcoin. So, okay, there was a Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is more or less used for money laundering. It's a perfect tool for money laundering because it's totally anonymous. We know now. We know that now that's true. But gradually, step by step, we established this correspondence with the regulators, and we were teaching them somehow. So, for example, in Slovenia, Blocksquare is registered here in Slovenia. In Slovenia, I was a co-founder of blockchain think tank Slovenia, and the purpose of blockchain think tank was to act as some kind of bridge between the regulators and the blockchain industry. And we organized several events per year. We always invited four representatives of the regulators, and they knew us. They step by step, they found out that blockchain, crypto, it's not about money laundering and terrorist financing. That is a technology with huge potential, and now I think they better understand what's going on. And one very good example is that now, once there is a hype, for example, DeFi hype or CBDC hype, we are always invited by Slovenian Central Bank to prepare some kind of presentation for them, so they better understand what's going on. And I think this is a right approach, how to cooperate with the regulators, and also how to somehow co-create the regulation. So I would say that this is from the perspective how the understanding of the regulators improved in recent years. The other aspect is the regulation, is the hard regulation. So I'm not speaking about the soft regulation. We know that regulators in Slovenia issued some kind of guidelines. The regulators in Switzerland issued some kind of guidelines. But this is soft law. Regulator can always say, "Oh no, I don't agree with my guidelines." That's possible, because you need hard law provisions. And I'm really happy that finally here in Europe we have this final draft of MiCA, Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation. I hope this will be adopted soon in the next months. And I'm quite optimistic that at least what I saw in the last draft, this draft is really, I would say, comprehensive, and it's tackling right topics with regards to the crypto, with regards to the DLT. And I really believe that this MiCA might become global standard for crypto regulation, something similar that is true for GDPR. We know that this personal data protection legislation was adopted in European Union, and now it's becoming a global standard in a way that also some other countries are adopting very similar regulation. This includes, for example, several states in United States, and this is, I believe, future, because of course, blockchain project, and the same goes with Blocksquare. They are not local projects. we all are addressing global markets. And if you have one regulation, European Union, the other one in United States and everywhere else, you didn't do a lot, because we know that if you want to be compliant, that's a huge effort. It's time consuming and so on. So I really hope that we'll have some kind of global standard regulation next few years, because then the business will be much more simpler and much more safer for all the stakeholders, meaning the investors, meaning the users of the platforms, meaning in our case, in Blocksquare case, owners of the real estate and so on.
So that's very interesting. So what you're telling me here is that we are at a stage where we are very near to having a unified regulation that will be adopted by the European Union. And then when the European Union adopts that regulation, most probably other places in the world would adopt it. Now, a question on the side here, where do you see is more advanced on a regulatory level today in regards to distributed ledger technologies and blockchain? Is it Europe or the US or Switzerland, which is out of the European Union in that aspect? Where do you feel is more advanced, or Dubai? Probably we're not yet, but we're pushing towards that.
The problem in general is that until now you don't have, let's say, a special crypto or DLT regulation. So MiCA, this European regulation, will be specially drafted for crypto assets and all the stakeholders working in this environment. Otherwise, we had this kind of approach when regulators said that, okay, if your crypto project qualifies, or if your instrument, crypto asset, qualifies as a financial instrument, then a regulation from crypto for financial instruments is applicable for you. But that means that we are trying to put new financial products, new financial instruments, actually also new assets. If you are speaking about tokenized assets, tokenized real estate assets, this is a new asset class. So we are now putting these all new asset classes, all new financial or crypto instruments into the old school regulatory framework, and that's a problem. So of course, it's a pain in the ass for the regulators and for the governments to regulate the technology, because technology is always evolving so fast, and the regulatory procedure it's really slow. Just like let's look at this example of MiCA. The whole process is lasting for more than 3 years, and what I'm afraid that some additional black swans can happen in the near future, like Celsius, like Terra Luna, and this might stop this regulatory process, because the regulators and governments will want to push much harder in certain aspects of the DLT. For example, now, of course, these issuers of stablecoins are on the radar. Of course, if something like Terra Luna happens, that I don't know how many billions of dollars evaporated within 1 day. I also lost several thousand euros, but okay, that's my bad. But that's a problem. Yes. So I hope that this regulatory or legislative procedure will stop once, and that we will not be waiting for all these black swans to happen, because I'm sure some black swans are already waiting to happen. I think there needs to be a cut. Let's say, okay, from now on, this is a final draft of the legislation, and we will leave it with it. That's
perfect. So that we have a base and then we develop from it, rather than every time trying to incorporate every possibility in the world into the scenario of the base of regulation, which will make the regulation never come out and will keep us in a dark framework regulatory. You pointed out something very key here. If we try to apply all legislation and framework to new assets and new asset classes and new technology, what we're doing is we are framing them and we're boxing them with the limitations of what old asset classes have. Thus, we are missing the opportunity The government is missing the opportunity. Communities are missing the opportunity of benefiting from what the new asset class and tech does offer. And this is major. Now, yes, it's probably a transitional stage where we pass on to that and then we move on to next thing, similar to taxation of cryptocurrencies and crypto related assets or digitized assets today. But within this, there is challenges that the regulators do live. Now, regulators do understand that, as it seems to me, and with time, regulators are becoming more proactive, especially the regulatory bodies. You disagree on this, as I see, or you have a different opinion?
No. Just let me give you one example. So there was up until now only regulation that is directly applicable to cryptocurrency or crypto services providers is anti-money laundering. So, okay, in Europe, that happened 2 years ago when this IML5 directive was adopted, and then it was transferred to national legislations. And there in the law, it said that if you are a wallet provider, if you are a crypto exchange provider, or if you are a custodial services provider, then you are a person under obligation. All fine, okay? But then regulators found out that they forgot about the unhosted wallets, meaning so that they focus now on the service providers which are offering hosted wallets, meaning centralized wallets, and they forgot to put into this regulatory frame also providers of unhosted wallets. Of course, okay, and then they were asking, how can we then control these unhosted, decentralized wallets? And okay, after a few years, now they are trying to implement somehow, and I don't know where, in which legislation this will appear. They're trying to implement this travel rule, so that if you are an unhosted wallet provider, then you need to ensure that you always know which is the addressee of the funds from the wallets that you provide. And this is, of course, something that will be quite challenging from the technical perspective to provide. And what I'm trying to say here is that the problem is that, yes, regulators can think in one direction, but once they started this thinking process, there is a 2-3 years time horizon when they finish with their thinking, and then in the meantime, you have the whole.
The challenges are different. Yeah.
Yeah. And I forgot to answer your question before. So about United States of America, Dubai, or Europe, which regulatory, which jurisdiction I would say is more advanced. I would say that until country will have this specialized DLT regulation or specialized crypto asset regulation, until that, I would say that all are on the same level. Once there will be special regulation, this country will be a little bit more advanced because it's always, of course, the proper approach is to regulate the technology as it is, not using some old legal institutes to apply them to new technologies and to new business models.
That's amazing what you said now, Peter. It means that, in Dubai, the government have created a special authority called VARA, which is the Virtual Asset Regulator. And it's a special committee that has been created around 2-3 months ago to regulate virtual assets. So then probably we have hope to be probably maybe one of the first, if not the first, to issue such regulation, because they only deal with that. They don't deal with anything else. That's cool. Now, to mention something that I was talking about a second ago, there has been challenges. Today, regulators are dealing with challenges. Obviously, challenges are ahead of regulation in general because the technology is moving so fast. So regulators usually wait for tech or for evolution to reach a certain stability or stable point, and then they start regulating for that. Because if they try to regulate for something that is changing overnight, every night, in its infancy, it's very difficult for them to have a stable regulation. And stability of regulation is very important, because worse than non-regulation is regulation that changes overnight, every night. And you feel comfortable usually in jurisdictions similar to the United Kingdom because you have regulation that has been there for 400 years, and you know that it moves very slow. So, what are you basing your business or your investments on? Now, here comes a challenge. The whole industry is is before infancy, pre-infancy even. It's just an embryo that is being discovered, and I say that, and maybe you have a different opinion on this, because I see that we did not yet establish the proper application for things. Yeah, we know that things are exciting. People talk about the metaverse today, and they see that it's exciting and it's fun and there's possibilities yet. But what are the possibilities? And I believe it may take us years. With AI, it took now the last 30 years for people to start understanding the possibilities, and now we just started seeing the basis of the infancy of something that is growing sustainably and can be seen into the future with good visibility. Do you feel that this challenge will cripple our industry for the coming years, or do you see that we're beyond that, or we will be beyond that very soon?
Yeah. First, about the regulators, it's definitely a motivation. Do they have a motivation to regulate something or not? In general, if you look at the total market capitalization of all the cryptocurrencies markets, it's not that big. It's so from the perspective of the regulators, there is no systemic risk so far. It probably will be there someday, but not now. So if there would be a systemic risk, believe me, the regulation would be already here. But it's not. So, and one also good example is Facebook. Facebook that they terminated their project Libra, or then it was called Diem. So this kind of virtual currency that they would have. Look how fast all the governments, all the regulators reacted. But that was not a compliance question. That was a political question. So whether one virtual currency from the big tech can compete with dollar, with euro. So and within the year everything stopped. So what I'm trying to tell you, if there is a motivation on the side of the regulators and governments, they will act very fast. So there is no.
Do you see that they're motivated now, or no?
They are, yeah, because now with Terra Luna, with all the market manipulations, we are not talking about millions lost. We are talking about billions lost. And a lot of consumers are involved here, mostly consumers. Also, on the other perspective, you were discussing this community, crypto community, about the developments, about the metaverse. It's I think I have a feeling sometimes that even the industry doesn't know what to produce. Just let's do something, earn some money, and we'll see if this will survive or not. I'm not telling you that this approach is wrong one, but usually, unfortunately, 95% of the projects are doomed at the beginning. But let's look at NFTs now. Okay, we know that NFTs hype around them. Okay, leave that hype at the side. But at the end of the day, I believe that these NFTs will be linked to our digital identity, will be linked to land register, which will be also very interesting for us, for Blocksquare, because then we will be able to have the whole solution on chain, not combining on chain and off chain, and so on. So what I'm trying to tell you that yes, hype is okay, slow regulators are sometimes okay, but this is a normal industry revolution that we live within these hypes, and at the end of the hype, something good stays alive.
What lasts, what lives.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is, by the way, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, something similar happened with this. I would say Genesis. So everybody know what are IPOs. So selling primary sale of stocks. Okay. Then came these ICOs. Or even before that came this crowdfunding with Kickstarter, with Indiegogo, and these platforms. Then came ICOs. Then IEOs. I don't know, but everything is very similar. So we are only sometimes changing the assets or the facade, otherwise everything is quite similar business as it was 20 years ago.
So what you're saying is that if we take into consideration the tech advancements and apply to it the rules that we used to apply to previous engines or engines that were there in the past, we would reach probably a decent enough base for a regulation. This is what you're saying now, yeah?
I'm saying now that, yeah, sometimes it's not too complicated to regulate something new, because you can just modify the regulation in a way to take in the calculation also these tech advancements that you mentioned. But yes, if you cannot have the same regulation for IPOs and ICOs, because the assets are not the same. The rights deriving from the financial assets are not the same. Investor type are not the same, so on. But yes, with slight modification, that's
it could work. Here, I would like to go back to Blocksquare. My view is that we today are the most advanced tokenization module, real estate tokenization module in the world. And when I say that, I don't only mean from a tech perspective, but I mean from a complete, holistic ecosystem environment perspective, because we have the best know-how into the dynamics of real estate and tech, not only real estate and not only tech. At the same time, we look at details of regulation, we look at details of how can we comply with regulation around the world, and we're trying to never be in the gray side, to be on the right side of regulation. Do you agree with that statement? And after you tell me if you agree or not, can you tell me please achievements that we have done on a legal setup perspective that you've witnessed and you've been part of and you've developed?
Yeah, look, I definitely believe that we are compliant. We put really a lot of efforts into it. Of course, there are challenges. First of all, when speaking about Blocksquare, we need to know that Blocksquare is in general an infrastructure provider. But of course, if you want to be an infrastructure provider, then also one part of the infrastructure, if you are talking about the ecosystem or the whole ecosystem around Blocksquare, is also compliance part or legal part. And when we were developing this legal infrastructure for our services, we wanted to have this agnostic approach, meaning that we are always trying to find a solution which are jurisdiction agnostic, meaning that we believe that we found a solution which is compliant in Slovenia and which is also compliant in let's say Dubai. And I'm not speaking only compliant from the perspective of the regulation, but of course we always need to take care about the safety of the stakeholders, meaning that, for example, investors in the real estate will be properly protected from malicious, let's say, a real estate owner which tokenize his or hers real estate. And I would say that this is our advantage. Also, this is our success. That we manage to show to our clients, to our partners today. But of course, there is always a first step, and our first step was with this first project, tokenization project that we had here in Slovenia. We tokenized parking lot in Ljubljana Technology Park, and before that, we, as I already previously mentioned, we appointed a meeting at the Slovenian securities agencies where we asked them, okay, how do we need to properly structure the token so that this token will not qualify as a security? They gave us an advice how to do it, and we did it in that way. So this is, I think, the right way. But of course, for all our clients, we are not only selling the infrastructure, we are also happy to help them, to support them with advices based on our past experiences. at the end of the day, we are working in this field, in the field of real estate tokenization for last 4 or 5 years, and I hope I can say that we learned a lot, and we are more than happy to transfer this knowledge and these experiences to our future partners.
So what achievements have been done while developing the state we reach today at Blocksquare, from a legal perspective?
Yeah, so I would say that we build this combination of off-chain, on-chain measures, how to properly structure the whole transaction, meaning the tokenization transaction. We spend a lot of time drafting all the legal documents. So for all our accredited partners, we can offer them this, let's say, a draft documentation, which of course needs some kind of modification. And I would say that this success is reflected in a way that we can say that we are selling this tokenization solution on key. So that turnkey solution, meaning that once you decide to build your platform on our infrastructure, or if you want to tokenize your real estate on our infrastructure, that you are really close to go to market very fast.
And that's something I always say. It's not only the technology we're giving you. If you're utilizing our tech and our infrastructure, what we are passing on is the know-how, and there's plenty of it, and the market, the process, and the market knowledge that we have acquired over the past years, and that's key. Here you've pointed something that I would want to know more about and see your vision to the future. I believe, for example, that the future of real estate tokenization should not be in the form of STOs. I believe that security tokens are not the future. I believe there should be an asset-backed token, and there should be regulation taking that into consideration. Do you really believe that that's true? And do you believe that we'll achieve it over the coming 1, 2, 3 years or not?
Yeah, so okay, I agree. Not all asset-backed tokens are security tokens. So I see this industry into which ways it will evolve. Of course, we'll have these security tokens, but this will be some kind of tokenized shares and so on. So when we are talking about real estate tokenization, we are talking about asset-backed tokens, and I hope. And I believe this is also coming with European crypto regulation, so that there will be some kind of simplified procedure to issue this kind of token. So if there will be a tokenization of real estate, which with the valuation under, let's say, 5-10 millions, then you will have simplified way to issue this kind of tokens. Of course, if these transactions will be bigger, will be higher. This is much more riskier from the perspective of investors. Then I completely agree that the process for issuing this kind of tokens is a little bit more complicated. So once we will simplify this process, but not only simplify, once there will be clear obligations for the issuers, what kind of protective measures needs to be adopted for or implemented for the investors, then I believe this real estate tokenization will become mainstream. And I really hope that Europe and Western world will go towards China, not of course from the political point of view or some other views, but from the point of view of their tech ecosystem. So what I really like is the thinking of having one European or maybe even global. I don't believe this is possible, but let's dream about it. One-stop shop, a super app like Chinese have WeChat, something similar we would have here in Europe or in United States. And with this kind of super app, you will be then able to purchase in very simplified way all these kind of assets. And for example, marketplaces that we are managing, Blocksquare is managing, and all the other marketplaces which will be operating on our infrastructure, I hope that they will be somehow connected to this kind of one-stop shops, and with that, practically we'll be able to address the really huge population, not only crypto enthusiasts, but also other clientele, I would say. So there, of course, a lot of bricks needs to be built until then, but yeah, unfortunately, everything starts and ends with the regulation. If regulation will be simple, if regulation will properly protect the stakeholders, then we can see real estate tokenization as a main business, as a mainstream business, and also these tokenized real estate assets as a new, very popular, a little bit conservative, but of course you all need also conservative part of portfolio, and this is then the future.
I called it in an event, in a keynote around a year and a half ago, GTM, Global Tokens Market. And at that time, a week before that event, the Swiss regulator gave the go-ahead to the Swiss market operator, the stock market operator, to go forward with the tokens market. And I believe it will be either SGTM or DGTM, which is a Dubai Global Tokens Market, and it will be similar to the Nasdaq, exactly what you've said. There's no reason why that doesn't happen, and that will unify. There's many reasons why that doesn't happen, but
you know Revolut, probably the fintech Revolut.
Yeah.
Okay, they have now banking license. They are very successful here in Europe. I would say that they're the closest fintech to Tencent's WeChat. So you can buy several assets within the crypto assets, stocks. There are some other services, but they tried to do something similar in Canada. They spent several million dollars, and they were forced to quit that project there. So I believe it's not that easy to make something global. Okay, so we can have this fintech super app in Europe, super app in Arab worlds, super app maybe in Asia, in United States, but I don't believe that something that big can happen in the future. But
don't you feel, for example, if Slovenia came up today and created Slovenian global tokens market, regardless if that became global by force of market, if every marketplace operator working, for example, under on our ecosystem in the world gets local regulation that supports him doing the right thing, issuing tokens of real estate, and then registering those tokens on the land registry, because that's another challenge. Now we're talking about regulation and the challenges of regulation from a legal perspective with distributed ledger technologies and blockchain understood right legally. But the bigger challenge probably, or one of the big challenges whenever it comes to regulation of real estate, is not only the financial regulator, is the other regulator, which is as stubborn, as strong, as powerful, and usually does not need to change much, which is the land registry. And that regulator and that authority usually is so powerful in every country because it's simply a money-making engine. So don't you feel that if a global tokens market is created, for example, in Slovenia by the Slovenian government, or in Dubai by the Dubai government, and then in every state you have those local regulatory frameworks that support a local marketplace legislatively working or operating in a right way, and then all of those marketplaces put all of those tokens and offer them and link them to the global tokens market, wherever it is in the world, that's already a global impact. Don't you feel so?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say that here in that case, the regulation or the regulators are not the only not the only challenge. So if you have time and money, then you can deal with the regulators. It will take years, maybe decades, and you will spend a lot of money. But at the end of the day, sometimes, most probably, you will have all the regulatory approvals. I would say that here it's also a tech perspective. So it's a question of standardization. It's a question of interoperability. One good example is in banking and in fintech. So there is a global initiative to establish an infrastructure, a global infrastructure for instant payments. We now know that if I would like to wire you a money with a bank transaction, it will take 5 days in best case scenario to that money will reach Slovenia from Slovenia to Dubai. Okay, so there was this global initiative. Let's establish this a global instant payment infrastructure. But no, 20 years later, Slovenia has one infrastructure, Austria has another one. Okay, there is one European infrastructure that is slowly starting to work. But of course, then United States, they have several these platforms. They don't have unified instant payment platforms, so it's not possible to transfer instantly money from Europe to United States. So it takes time because yeah, maybe Slovenia would start some kind of project and they would be building this on Ethereum 1. Then Switzerland would take some other layer one blockchain. So it's a problem. Sure. I would say also about this consensus, where it's not only about the regulation, also about other stuff. And I would say technology, tech, and interoperability is here the biggest challenge.
Yeah, definitely. That needs an ideal world, which we don't have, unfortunately, and we're not living in. Peter,
but we can dream about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing that already, so I'm happy that others join me. So, you mentioned before in the beginning of our chat about yourself. Who is Peter? What have you done in the past? I usually leave it till the end, so I would love to know more about you not only on a corporate level and not only on a professional level, but also on a personal level. So, who's Peter? How were you brought up? How did you get here? And what's your family consists of today? And you've just been on vacation. What vacations do you enjoy? Tell me more, please, because our community is interested in every member of our team.
Okay, so how much time do I have?
As much as you do have.
No, okay, no. So I was born in Ljubljana. Next year I'll be 40 years old, so I'm already thinking about the big party that we'll organize, because of course every decade you need to organize a really big party, not only a small one. Otherwise, I was really bad at maths at school, so all the numbers I hated them. Probably that's why I decided to go and study law. Then I mentioned you about my business. So what's my, or I would say what's our comparative advantage in business is that we are always trying to search for some new verticals, new industries that 99.9% of the lawyers don't understand. So I have a group of 7 friends from the law faculty. They're my best friends, and we usually play poker together. And they're also my test rabbits. So I ask them, do they know about something? And usually they say, no, we don't know anything about it. And I start thinking about, okay, why not making this as a business? So when I was working in a bank, I asked them, what do you think about startups and law? And they all told me, oh, there's no money in startups. And I said, okay, that's good. So I started my company advising to startups and to the investors. Then came blockchain. I asked them, okay, what do you know about crypto? And they say, oh, that's some IT stuff. We don't understand them. It's for money laundering. I said, okay, it's good business for me. 2 years ago, that was my idea, but usually I have too much ideas and not too much time to implement Execute. Or to realize all the ideas. So I was starting thinking, why not start building first esports agency here in the region. So the agency which would be representing professional esports players and content creators, meaning meaning gaming influencers. So we built that company. It's called Spike Esports, but I'm not dealing with it. My girlfriend is dealing with it. My last project, which is a hobby project, is that last year, at the end of the last year, I invited 10 of my friends to start with our own VC fund. We put some money in it, and we said, okay, let's invest in few startups, and we'll see where it goes. If we'll be successful, then this will become our primary business. If not, this will be our hobby, and we will learn something from it. Otherwise, families. I have a girlfriend. I have 14 months old daughter called Hannah. So I promised to myself when she was born that I will not be working that much, because usually I was working 12 to 14 hours per day, and also sometimes during the weekends. I loved working during the weekends because nobody was bothering me. So working on Saturday or Sunday was something completely normal for me. But the promise was made that with daughter, I will not be working that much. And I must say that up until now, I'm quite successful with keeping that promise.
Very good.
With regards my other hobbies, I used to play video games a lot. I don't know how I finished my law faculty, because I played Command and Conquer. I was playing it all night long. Wolfenstein, I remember, on computer. So now for this Christmas, I always buy a present to myself every Christmas. And this Christmas, or the last Christmas, I bought to myself a PlayStation 5. So now I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2, Call of Duty, FIFA, and so on, when I have time. And I'm also a huge Lego lover, Lego bricks lover. That's my something that I really enjoyed from my young ages. And my mom kept all my Lego bricks, so I have all the collections in my boxes. Wow. And sometimes now I buy to myself a big complex box of Lego bricks. The last purchase was I think it was the typewriter. So the Lego typewriter that writes. And why I bought it, because I know that these crypto enthusiasts, which don't trust the technology, they bought these old school typewriters to write down the private key to their wallet. So because they're afraid that hackers will enter their printers, that's why they bought these typewriters and write down the private key. And I said, okay, so that's combining a crypto passion with Lego passion. Why not buying it? So
I need to talk to Dennis. We should tokenize your Lego collection. So.
Oh yeah, it's quite big. It's quite big.
So you're pampering yourself. You don't need anyone to pamper you.
No.
I only hear you saying, "I bought a gift for myself." So you're doing well at that.
It's not good that you always put yourself into the focus, but
exactly.
but you need to take care about you.
Exactly.
I'm working a lot, but then you also need to spoil yourself.
Give me one thing you're passionate about today when it comes to regulating crypto-related assets, and a piece of law that you are really either enthusiastic about it happening or so passionate about making it happen, because I believe you teach currently. So give me a piece of something.
No, I'm very interested in I already mentioned, I think today, this digital identity. So we know that it's something that is the future. Of course, we are on the web all the time. So going to brick and mortar bank or to government, it's an old school business, I would say. So I would say that this legal identity challenge building this legal identity on with NFTs or using blockchain. So I'm speaking about how is it called? I forgot now.
So are you talking here about every single individual of us being identifiable but not exposed? Is this what you're?
Yes, so that you have this digital identity which can be used everywhere. So that when you will be opening your email, or when you will be opening your bank account, or when you will try to open an account on Blocksquare platform or whatever, that you will not need to go once again through whole procedure or even through video conference and I know what. That you will have this digital identity uploaded in your digital wallet on your mobile phone, and you will be able to use it everywhere. So not having 20 different identities, one for Gmail, one for Hotmail, one for Blocksquare platform, and so on. So and then when you're thinking or when you're reading that everybody is building their own digital identity. So Google is trying to build one, Facebook is trying to build one. Practically every tech company wants to build something. And if you combine with my passion for crypto, for DLT in general, there I see something that makes me a little bit nervous, because I know that this is possible, but what we have spoken before about this interoperability, about this different countries having their own infrastructure, I am afraid that this is not possible in the nearest future, because once again in Europe we have the regulation for this digital identity 10 years old, but you cannot use a digital identity which was granted from Slovenian government, let's say in Germany, and that's a problem. But my short answer to your question is digital identity, possibly on DLT.
So do you feel that, by the way, the challenge here is legal, or do you think that the challenge here is technical and standardization, actually?
It's not legal. It's also, of course, political, because if you have this digital identity, where your data will be stored?
Yeah.
So will that be stored in the cloud infrastructure in European Union, in United States? That's one question. Of course, that's also very, very good business case for all the tech platforms, because if, for example, Google will win at the end of the day this competition for digital identity, then Google will be provider of it. So when you will try to enter e-government services, you will identify with your Google profile, and of course this is also incentive for Google. Why should they promote and further develop their digital identity? But we have already this first stage of digital identity, because if you want to create an account, I don't know where, in which e-commerce store, for example, then you can use credentials from Google or from Facebook already, and this is a first stage, and we don't know where we'll go forward. But
we need to have a discussion on this. I have a thought that where I believe that there will be one entity that will create a bridge that will take all of those digital identities and make one unified one out of them. Because as you said, every company will have. But I will not go into that because we already passed our time for today. It has been interesting chatting with you. Two things before we close here, please. First, is there anything you would like to tell our community, Blocksquare community, and beyond?
Yes, I would invite everybody to get know with us, with the founders, with the project in general, because I'm happy to say that we are some kind of pioneers within the industry, and of course you can always learn something from us, and on the other side we can always learn something from you. So I hope that we can grow, and we will grow together with our community.
Perfect. Second thing, Peter, is we enjoyed having the chat with you today. We have already involved our community over the past few weeks in sending questions to us that they would like answered. we would want you, please, to be involved in the coming community stage, which will happen on Discord within the coming month. We incentivize and we advise everyone, guys, to join in that. If you have questions for Peter, you can direct questions there, and we will make sure that Peter answers them, and hopefully you will get the legal, satisfying answer for your question. Thank you so much, Peter.
Yeah, and I promise I will be very fast with the replies, so that I will not keep waiting anybody.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Okay.
Until
you,
next
Makram.
year, until the 40th party. So thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being part of our block chat today. Thank you, Peter, for being part of Spotlight and for being such a valuable member and co-founder of our team at Blocksquare, and for all the input and efforts that you do add. Enjoy your day, everyone. Have a pleasant week ahead. Ciao.